Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 8th edition of the SASI Debate Challenge, brought to you by Say What, supported by SEAL, SAYWHAT Events and Lifestyle, courtesy of the Nyaradzo Group. And I am your debate master, Master Jumbe, and I'll be coordinating this event for you, but ensuring some entertaining commentary as well. I have the pleasure of being joined by some very intelligent individuals, and I'll have them introduce themselves and the respectable institutions that they come from, starting with those from podium number 1.
Hi, my name is Nombulelo, here with my partner Prince. We're from the institution of NAST.
That's amazing. You've come very far. Hopefully you're going to win, right?
Yes.
Lovely. I love it. I love it. Lovely. And those from podium 2.
Hi, my name is Tinashe, and my partner Shalin. We are from Bindura University of Science Education.
Thank you very much. We can't wait to see what you give us. Those from podium 3.
Morning, my name is Ropa Fadzo, and my partner is called Atherton, and we're from the Chinhoyi University of Technology.
We love it. A cut above the rest, as they say, hey? And those on podium number 4.
Salvonan, I'm Hazel here with Vanele, and we're from UZ.
Brilliant. And now that all these amazing speakers have introduced themselves, I would be doing an injustice to the sport and the craft of debate if I were to not outline the rules and regulations that will be governing this debate for you. This debate shall follow a British parliamentary style. Additionally, there will be 4 teams, 2 teams opposing and 2 teams proposing. Within that time, every single point of information, or POI, will have to be raised within an allocated time of just 15 seconds. Each speaker has only 4 minutes to speak. And let's hope they make it count, because things are about to get quite interesting. Now, the moment that we've all been waiting for. It's time for me to read to you the motion of the day. The motion of the day reads as follows. This House prefers a model where SRH education is delivered by trained external health professionals over in-school guidance counsellors. I shall repeat. This House prefers a model where SRH education is delivered by trained external health professionals over in-school guidance counsellors. I see the teams shaking. Their papers are starting to shake. I hope they're okay. I hope everything's okay. Is everything okay back there, podium 1?
Yes.
Things are about to get quite real, and I think it's time for us to seal the deal. The die has been cast. The stage has been set, and this is the moment we've all desired. I will now ask the first speaker to come forward. Honorable Prime Minister, please come forward to the podium and make your statement heard. Thank you.
Panel, we prefer a world where sexual reproductive health is made available for all through those who know best, and those are our sexual reproductive health educators who have been trained, who have been acquainted, who have been equipped with the necessary skills for this particular responsibility. What do these people look like? They look like people who have gone and studied the sexual reproductive health so well that they know it in and out like the back of their hands. What do the in-house education guidance and counselors look like? They look like our teachers who are available, because already they are the ones who are there with their students and they're given different responsibilities. So what has been the problem that has been faced in schools without the sexual reproductive health educators? The problem has been that, number 1, teachers have been deemed guidance and counseling responsibilities, yet they already have a lot of workload with them. What is the workload that they already have? The workload that they already have is to teach the students at the end of the day, and as they're teaching the students, they don't have the adequate time that the students need for them to be educated about sexual reproductive health. Number 2, what do we say is problematic at the end of the day? What is problematic at the end of the day is that these policies, that there are policies that have been put within schools that, like for example, the policy that children who are pregnant are not supposed to be expelled. But already these policies panel at the end of the day are not being followed, because we tell you at the end of the day that there are still students who are there and they are pregnant and they're not able to go to school because they feel like at the end of the day that how they feel and everything is not okay. Now, the third problem panel that brings is that students will not be able to speak openly to someone that they do not know. We know opposition will come panel and say that no, students are able to actually speak to the person that they know best, who knows them. But we tell you at the end of the day panel that number one, when you speak to someone that you don't know, you are open, you are not embarrassed, and at the end of the day, students are able to ask a lot of questions about this sexual reproductive health, and they're able to openly to even know and ask a simple question: how do you actually use this contraceptive pill? How do you actually use this contraceptive method? Because they're speaking to someone that they don't know. So, Prana, what do we say at the end of the day? We tell you that there has been a statutory 13 that was introduced in 2025 that was actually there to support these people who are the sexual reproductive health educators. As they are there, we tell you that in the past, before there was this statutory, there were failures at the end of the day panel, whereby a lot of decisions in schools were made based on what someone else believes. A lot of decisions in schools were made based on the rules that are in that particular school, where at times even these teachers who are deemed to be guidance counselors will be so embarrassed to teach these things about sexual reproductive health. So, panel, what world do we prefer at the end of the day? We prefer a world where we have people who are educated about these things and they come and actually teach the students openly so that they know. We tell you that these people have a level of experience, and at the end of the day, they have a level of experience. We are able to directly engage with our students and bring out a better world. We tell you that at the end of the day, this is within their job description, and in as much as it's within their job description, we tell you that they are the doctors of sexual reproductive health. We tell you that at the end of the day panel, where there has been underfunding in schools, we tell you that the people that are going to be bringing these sexual reproductive health educators are going to be our NGOs, looking at companies like SAYWHAT. They can go there to schools and advocate, where they bring a world whereby, like NASA, we tell you that these sexual educators will be there 1 in every 50, which means every student, 50 students are allocated to one person. These people are available. They're just a call away if they have any problem. We tell you at the end of the day that if we have these people, there'll be minimized problems of where people have unsafe abortions, like using a coat hanger in order to remove a child. We tell you at the second of the day that we will actually ensure that students know what is right and what is wrong. We tell you at the end of the day panel that as we propose for this motion, we tell you that we will have a better world where females are continuously educated and where we have a better world where everyone knows what they ought to do. With this, we've never been so proud to propose.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. We will now wait to hear from the first speaker from the leading opposition. May you please step forward and provide your case.
One simple thing here, panel, we tell you this. We think opening government has drastically failed to do the one thing that they were supposed to come here and do. This is to prove why these people have to be external, right? We think the whole case that opening government proves to the House is how there's lack of capacity within, like, using guidance and counsellors, teachers to teach SRHR education, right? We'll prove to you in our case why capacity is going to be there in the long run. So we think at the end of the day, why they don't give us exactly why these people have to be external, we don't think they really have a case at all, right? They talk about how people who have studied SRHR education fully are supposed to be the people that are supposed to train these kids. We tell you this, panel, we think that we need to use in-school guidance and counsellors because they're always on the ground, right? But to make sure that these people are fully equipped to do the job of educating these children, right, in terms of SRH education, right, we think there are short courses that are available everywhere, right? We think SAYWHAT is moving around schools, is moving around giving peer education to a lot of people, right? We don't think people need to necessarily go and do a degree for you to have denied, for you to have like capacity in order to teach SRHR like education, right? So I think at the end of the day, what you're proposing to the House is to use those in-school guidance and counsellors, right? Send them for a short course, right? Or invite an organization that actually gives them a short course so that they have the full knowledge of understanding what they are teaching the kids and they have the full knowledge to address the problems that the kids actually have, right? Why then do we tell you that the in-school guidance counselors are the best people to do this. We think they have tailor-made ways to help the children. Why? Because number one, they know these children at a personal level, right? So the way that they're going to come up with solutions to solve the problems that the children are facing, right, is going to be tailor-made according to the specific type of children that they are dealing with, right? Which is something that you don't get from people that are externally coming maybe once a month or less, right? We also tell you that the idea of bonding is very necessary. Opening government doesn't prove to us for how long these external people are going to be coming. Are they going to come once a month, once a year? We don't know, right? So we tell you that these in-school guidance and counselors are people that are always going to be on the ground, right? And by reason of that, we think there's a bonding that is going to be created, right? And once that bonding is created, we think children are going to be free to go and access SRHR education to their in-school guidance counselors, right? At the end of the day, we think we gain better results in terms of access and in terms of like effectiveness of that education, right? Why then do we tell you that this is going to be very effective? We tell you this is going to be very effective, number one, because those NGOs that opening government is opting for have, in fact, this year, right, have been facing problems in terms of having their funds cut, right, which means that they are not able to continuously do like some of the things that they've been doing, right. So at the end of the day, we think at a point in time in which you capacitate someone who's on the ground, right, you give results that are going to last for a very long time, because there's no way that this person is going to be moved, or there's no way that this person is going to say that I don't have funding today for me to move around teaching people, right. So at the end of the day, you create a system that is very effective, a system that is not going to fail, and a system that is not going to continuously suffer external things like lack of funding and fluctuations within the economy, right? So we think in terms of the matrix of preference, right, we think we prefer something when results yielded exceed those in the alternative world, right? We've already proven to you this, ladies and gentlemen, that when someone is already on the ground, one, they know the children better. Two, they have a better chance of bonding with these children in order to create tailor-made solutions for these children and to educate them properly, right? Three, we tell you that there is no way that there are going to be problems faced in terms of access of funds, etc., etc. So at the end of the day, we prove to you that in our world, there is better access, and the benefits that are going to be gained are better as of that are going to be gained in the world that opening government is proposing due to a lot of fallouts within their case. So we think by this, we should vote for the case that opening opposition is bringing to the ground, because it is much more effective. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. We will now hear from the Deputy Prime Minister. Please come forward and make your case known.
So, panel, we think it's very simple what this debate requires. We think the core burden that OO is supposed to be sort of supporting in today's debate is not one of the substance that they give you in particularly this debate, right? Like OO comes into the debate and they tell you that, panel, the most important thing that you ought to value is relatability, the fact that you know the background of the student that you have, you spend more time with them. Not how, panel. Currently, within status quo, the idea is similarly that guidance and counselors spend more time with students, and these SRH people come only once a month, right? This is the same reason why we're actually supporting this motto, because we want to change that idea of how SRH people don't have enough time on their hands that they spend with students, yet they have more expertise on how to handle these problems. We think parallelly that is the problem that we're trying to address. They don't tell us why relatability on its own and spending more time without having the extensive knowledge that you need to effectively solve these problems is something that ought to be more valuable and create a better, preferable world. But first note, pardon, we think on the issue of funding that they raise, right, is likely much more problematic symmetrically on their side. We think comparatively, pardon, currently we exist in a world or in a country where government funding, especially when it comes to schools, is one that is very low. We think most schools, pardon, are underfunded. What this parallelly means is that most teachers have a very unhealthy teacher to student ratio, where likely it means they need to deal with more students. At the same time, they have other burdens. That is to say that they ought to teach them more like other subjects and have to also focus on other extracurricular activities. How is that parallelly problematic? The impact of this is that parallelly on their side, even though these guidance and counselors or teachers, even the best case scenario, if we take them at their best, right, they might be relatable to these students, but the problem with that relatability is that they don't have enough time to spend with these students to actually solve like most of the issues that or listen to them well enough. We think the nature panel of sexual reproductive problems is that they are very sensitive. It means likely you can't just like dedicate 2 minutes of your time like just once after a very like long time to one student, right, to sort of solve the problem with that. We think more particularly panel when we then involve these SRH people, especially through our model, not panel in our case, right, this is a sort of a policy prefers motion, right? In our model, when you then allow that we prefer these SRH workers to come to schools, it means more likely we're going to be allowing them more ample time. It means they're going to be coming more frequently. It's no longer just once a month, but likely the importance of this panel is the very fact that not only do they have expertise, but they likely don't have other burdens they need to focus on, because likely the job description of them is likely that they specialize in this field, right? That means they'll be dedicating more time, accumulating because of the accumulated knowledge they have and the expertise. They will bring extensive planning and it can like adopt special cases. The importance of this panel, we understand that sexual reproductive problems are not always the same. They come from different contexts. But before I continue, I'll take one POI from closing.
Confirm the role of guidance and counseling is to create well-rounded individuals.
Okay, that is the thing, panel. We think most of the idea of that POI is the idea, it's more idealistic. We don't think it's even relevant in this debate. It's trying to just push us off track, right? Because the idea is that, yes, the role of guidance and counseling is there, but it already tells you that there's a policy and implementation gap, that it's not likely just because something is ideal that it's being well implemented. And the reason it's not being well implemented is because teachers don't have enough time, they don't even have enough knowledge and extensive funding in research, and it's only likely like achieved on our side of the world. We think we're very proud to propose.
Things may be getting quite heated. However, I believe that someone right now could potentially silence it all. May the next speaker from the deputy leaders of the opposition please come forward.
Okay, panel, taking it from OG, right? They said in the status quo, what does the guidance and counselors look like? And they said they look like teachers. So, first misconception that they made is they took those cherry-picked terms such as SRHR advocates. They are just basically teachers, panel. Even the GNC counselors, they are teachers. So we are rather a delegation that is supporting this house. Okay, this house prefers a model where SR education is delivered by trained external teachers more than school guidance teachers. They are all teachers in their own perspective. That is the first misconception that they made. So they think those cherry-picked people, they can do a better job, but even these guidance and counselors, teachers that we have in institutions can do actually a better job to implement the same. Okay, so firstly, we want to look at what does the status quo look like around this whole issue. The spirit behind this motion comes at a point where we are introducing SRHR in learning into schools, and we are doing all this. And we are at a period where there is escalation of drug and substance abuse, sexual harassment, and we even implemented the sexual harassment policies in these schools, right? So we are saying, Isusu, we are saying there's a delegation and there's a council, right? So most of the problems that occur in these schools, they need solutions that are tailor-made for the students. So we are a delegation that is co-opting, and we are opting for those people who are in
Point.
schools, because there are most of these problems, they need to be tailor-made solutions for the schools, right? So, one, we are saying these counselors, they have better bonding. As my first speaker said, these people have better bonding with school. We are saying guidance and counseling should be something that is ongoing from the moment a child is enrolled in school, not an emergency call out where we just call them when a child is raped or when there is a problem or when they need counseling, right? So this is an all year rounder. So we are
Point.
opting for this guidance and counseling hold. These guidance and counseling teachers, these GNC teachers, they are going to be an independent group who are only going to be tailor-made for guidance and counseling only without any other respective duties so that they have more time to focus on the children. So that's the misconception they made. They think the GNC teacher is going to teach maths at the same time. No, that misconception should be cleared in this. These teachers, they are trained so that they become better counselors to meet. They actually receive the same training.
Engage.
That is the same training that they get from the people who are SRHR advocates from even the external organization. So these organizations, they are also, this GNC, they are also trained and they can do a better job considering they already know the school, right? Okay, most of these children, they have better and easier access to this GNC. They don't know about SAYWHAT. Ask a grade 2 child. He doesn't even know about SAYWHAT, but they know about a GNC teacher. So they are going to be a very easier point of reference, a point of access to whatsoever the solution or their tailor-made solutions that they need for their problems, right? These children are going to be empowered from the moment that they are going to enroll into a school to the moment that they grow up as part of the institution, right? So the government came here and probably talked about the issue of confidentiality, right? We acknowledge the issue of confidentiality within the GNC teacher probably and the child, right? But these people are well trained on that aspect of confidentiality. They actually know how to handle these children at their respective levels. And this, a guidance and counseling teacher is actually someone who is in that institution for a particular reason and also is aware of the issues of confidentiality. So they can't trust someone who they don't know can keep up with the confidentiality, right? So unless the government side show us why the change of the already existing system where we have GNC teachers in their institutions and we move to external organization is very effective, which is something that we did not see on their side, right? So they came here and one of the other issues that we are going to articulate is once they... Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, respectable speaker. As you can see, the question is, health professionals or guidance counselors? You have it all right here on Say What at the SASI Debate Challenge. This is the 8th edition, and I'm your debate master. We'll see you right after the break. And welcome back to the 8th edition of the Say What SASI Debate Challenge. I am your debate master, Master Jumbe. And as you can see, there are highly contentious issues being discussed as these people stand for advocacy upon their rights. So now we will continue from where we left off. Thank you for staying with us. Now we'll begin to hear from the member of government. Please come forward.
Panel, we think that the greatest misconception that we face in today's debate is the idea of what SRH education actually is and looks like, and the simplifying of it and it having to just be addressed by guidance and counselors, teachers in schools or officers. We think that SRH is more complex than that, and thus it requires specialization, it requires a certain level of professionalism as well, and it requires a certain level of space and context. We also think that our greatest burden that they've given us is to prove to you why these external health officers give greater outcomes for students and for the world at large, and that is what we intend to do with our positive meta. So our extension lies entirely on interrogating specialization, neutrality, and professionalism and how it creates better outcomes for students. And we think that the concerns around access, around cost, around integration can be managed or rather weighed in our model, right? So first of all, we really want to discuss on how accuracy and expertise are essential when we're talking about SRH issues. We think that it goes beyond just having a guidance and counselor teacher have exchange of information with you, but we think that there's people like doctors who are also involved. We need things like proper information on diseases, particular information on STIs. We think that things surrounding SRH are constantly changing with time, and because of that, guidance and counselors, teachers are not capacitated enough to understand what is happening within the laws of consent, within STIs, the evolving of certain diseases, and and sexual reproductive health issues. And that is why it is particularly important for us to have these external people who are professionally trained within that particular program or within that particular context to address these issues with students. We don't think we get enough or proper help for students when we just have guidance and counselor teachers. And rather, if we want to talk about capacitating these teachers, we would rather spend those costs of capacitating guidance and counselor teachers to have external people come in and spend money on them instead. We think that we increase trust and disclosure when we have external people. That is the main problem that we have with local people. We think that when we have guidance and counselor teachers, these people almost serve like parental guidance. We think that not only will they not give adequate SRH education, but we think that sometimes they even start to suppress things like sexual interest. They can demonize them, they can undermine them instead, and we don't think that is comprehensive sexual reproductive education. We think that also institutions are embedded in deep conflict and bias. Schools, probably like institutions, church institutions, maybe ZEG, we don't think that they will be comfortable discussing issues to do with LGBTQI issues. And so we don't think that all of those things that are political in schools take into play and influence lecturers, they influence guidance and counselor people so that they don't give comprehensive SRH education. And that is why it is important to have our SRH externals come in, right? We also think that issues to do with confidentiality, right, and which trickles down to trust, like I've already highlighted. We think that it is so important that we have external people because students might be fearful. Like I said, these are people that they actually have a bond with. So how do you go on to discuss how many people you have slept with a particular person that you actually have a bond with, someone that looks like a parental figure to you, someone that you interact day in and day out with? So we think that when we have these external figures, students are actually able to communicate better. And we think that it is actually really sad that they think that all of this is going to be done with no structure. When we decide that we're having external figures, we're going to make sure that it is consistent. We're going to make sure that there's a follow-through with regards to how these students get their education and the structure of it. We don't think that it's just going to be done in a haphazard manner, and we're going to prioritize that in our model, right? So what have we shown you? We show you that SRH is not an opinion issue. It's a science. It involves different professions. It involves important people that are targeted for those particular issues. We think that specialization, we think that professionalism is more important and it should be valued because it gives better outcomes.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. We will now hear from a member of the opposition. Please may you come forward and make your case known.
Of course, teenagers don't trust strangers. We know how these individuals interact with each other. We don't think that any of the teams so far have analyzed the most vulnerable actor in this debate. We think the child is the most vulnerable actor, and we're going to show you why they don't trust any of the other positions in today's debate. Two layers of analysis that show what this debate is about. This debate is not about devaluing the expertise of these professional individuals. It's mostly about which model works better for these vulnerable stakeholders that need this particular education. I asked a very important POI in my speech to say, Guidance counseling is meant to create well-rounded individuals for society. They reject it and they say it's just a pushback. We think that these individuals understand not just the sexual reproductive health of these particular children, but also understand nuances that come with it. That is to say, they understand their mental health, they understand their personalities, and all of these particular things show why this is particularly crucial in today's debate. And the idea of saying trust and disclosure, like I've already said, teenagers don't trust strangers, right, in general. But 5 layers of extension in this debate, right? 1, we think guidance in school counseling provide continuous, 1, trusted and context-sensitive SRH education that promotes long-term engagement and safe disclosure. Note speaker, 5 structural reasons why this is true, right? We think students are more likely to disclose concerns and ask questions in the long run after getting their education right. That looks like these individuals working or going there to just like get the workshop, understand the nuances and the scientific ideas around sexual reproductive health, but then they can go ask questions from the people that they actually trust, but actually have more access to. We think these are their guidance and counselors, right? But 2, we think counsellors understand local norms. I think what the biggest rejection that we get from closing government is that, well, we think when you now come and say you're going to talk about sensitive issues such as LGBTQI, we tell you, I'd like you to experience backlash from communities because you're going to tell children about things that they think is sensitive, right? But when you have a standing guidance and counselor who is already in the school ecosystem, they are likely to create a messaging that is palatable, but also create acceptability in the long run. We don't think there's any analysis to that, right? But 3, note speaker, that SRH ongoing behavioral involves things such as behavioral and emotional development, which they don't analyze in this debate. We think medical facts are not enough, right? It's all about acquiring and making that individual well-rounded, right? But 4thly, we think external professionals lack time. We reject the idea to say we're going to pay them more so that they make time. We don't think that's what happens because expertise takes a lot of time, and in this debate context, there is no engagement whatsoever.
Vanele, relatability is symmetrical. It means health professionals can still have enough time to get to understand like the students.
I don't think there is whole child support from their side of the house. That is to say, counsellors sort of integrate SRH into broader themes that these individuals need into their growing, right? That is to say, when you then actively engage with these particular individuals, you are most likely to get better outcomes when you sort of create a system that's more palatable for those particular individuals. But 2, we think child language is very different from an individual that's going with medical terms. Majority of people don't trust nurses, they assume they are rude, and we don't like that, right? We think these particular children are likely not going to just even engage with those particular individuals. They're going to go, they attend the workshop, and that's it. We don't think that you create a very bad precedent, right? Which means that you don't open the doors for early reporting of abuse because those people are almost always not there, right? But 2, you are likely to get unplanned pregnancies because these individuals are actively engaging in this and they have to wait for a workshop because Roper said so, right? But also, I think they talk about how they don't have to immediately address these things. Super, super proud.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. There's been a lot of talk of backlash, snapping and crackling. Let's hear from the government whip of today's debate. May you please come forward.
Okay, panel. So the motion today demanded for us to compare the implementation of 2 models, which is the usage of external health professionals in dealing with SRH education versus the usage of guidance and counselors that are in-housed and are relatable or that stay with the students within the particular institution that we'll be talking about. So government comes and gives us this this major argument about how about how guidance counselors are the better people to do this job because they are more relatable to the people or to the students that they stay with. But in our extension, we show how that is counterproductive to this thing, because the reason why guidance and counselors cannot do this job effectively is because they are underpinned by the culture and the culture and the moral expectations of society that exist within this particular society. So this is the reason why we feel that with this culture underpinning how they react or how they deal with these issues might give us a more skewed or a veiled or a censored sense of protection, or a censored sense of how a more censored idea of SRH health, SRH education. So we also want to talk about the government model and how they talk about how we will have organizations teaching these guardians and counselors about issues that will help with SRH education. But my speaker in extension also spoke about how this is ineffective because SRH is a deep and is a more expansive field that requires medical accuracy in what is spoken about, right? So this is our major contention with the government model. We feel that it doesn't deliver to that respect in terms of how it gets to deal with SRH education in institutions. And we also want to talk about the comparative of what we get from government versus what we get from opposition. So as government, you get a fact-based rights representing and non-judgmental education delivered with care and skill, right? But with opposition, you get this misguided idea of guidance and counseling. The reason why we're even having this conversation in the first place is because even with the existing guidance and counselors, right, they failed to deal with SRH education issues effectively. So that's the reason why we feel we feel opposition has this moral inconsistency by accepting that yes, there is a problem within SRH education delivery, but still are still pushing this same status quo without giving us any real change on how they can deal with the issues that they spoke about, right? But we come to you as professionals of issues to do with SRH education, right? We feel that with experts in this field, right, they're better able to deliver issues and diagnose if there is necessity and help our young adults and adolescents in dealing with the issues that they'll be facing, right? We feel that guidance and counselors in their relatability might inhibit or might make it hard for students to share such sensitive issues as LGBTQ issues that they might be facing with, or issues to do with deep and sensitive sexual reproductive health. So we feel that this relatability is actually counterproductive to what we're trying to do, and we feel that the best person to deal with this is the best person to deal with this are the professionals that do not have any kind of ulterior motives or a conflict of interest in dealing with SRH education with the students that will be that are concerned.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. We will now hear from a different perspective from the opposition whip. Please may you come forward.
Panel, we feel that proposition gives us a very pedestrian debate today because they give us a general assumption that guidance counselors are incapable of learning SRHR information and are very much incapable of providing accurate facts. We think that's very important in today's debate and shows how this debate has been ridiculed by proposition. We also come and we tell you that there's a measure of clashes that we get throughout this debate, and I will really bring a summing of everything within this debate and provide an analysis basis on why we think we win this debate. Firstly, we find the issue and the clash on accessibility. We think that this is ongoing throughout the debate. To say that, no, at the end of the day, we feel like the professional priority is making accessibility of information by professionals, right? Ropa even extends on that from CG and then gives us a speech on how SRHR is very complex and we need professionals to provide that. We need professionals to cater to this. Response to that, we feel that from side closing opposition, right? We feel that at the end of the day, accessibility really is important. We think that accessibility is not viable in their world, which is a pivotal part of today's debate. Which world is most likely to bring about the best results? We think that we find accessibility in our side of the house because we have guidance and counsellors readily available to bring this information to the individuals. But we don't think that the moment that you limit it down to professionals to provide this information, they are readily accessible to people. We tell you, Bandele tells you in his very sophisticated speech that continuity is very important in today's debate. That is to say that we think that SRHR is very complex. We think that it's a very developmental system that aligns to the progression of an individual throughout their life. We think that a workshop for 1 hour by an individual who's so-called an expert is ineffective. We think that that person cannot give rightful information throughout and relate to that person. We think that it's more viable and more preferable that we have a person on the ground who can relate, who can follow up, and who knows the struggles of the individual. We think also, at the end of the day, we don't find a world where these professionals really relate to the individual. So we get that as a major clash within this debate, to say, no, we don't value relatability, we value the information. Why is this so important in this debate? Vanille tells you that this is very important because, number one, and the fact in the simple world that people are, different cultures exist, we think that certain information is not palatable to certain groups, and therefore there should be priority on how you message it. We're not saying that don't spread SRHR information. We're saying the best way to make it accessible and received by different individuals is to understand them, to understand their cultures. The same way he gives you an example about how if you go to a very non-progressive and conservative system and teach them about the LGBTQI policies and whatever, they're most likely not going to listen, but those are relevant issues. So we think that we value a world where these guidance and counsellors are prioritized because they give up this. We also come and we tell you that we feel that this system is probably more cheaper in general. Now, why is this? We think that deploying healthcare workers to every single institution is highly unpractical. We think that it's more likely to have your guidance and counsellors provide this information, teach and provide these services, and that's why we win on this clash. So why do we win in this debate? We tell you about the value of continuity. We tell you about the complexity of SRHR information, something that we don't get from every other speech. We also feel like that, in general, within this debate, they avoid the major stakeholder within the debate, which is basically the children. That is to say, who are they most likely to relate to? Who are they most likely to get and receive information from progressively? Who are they most likely to learn more from? And we feel that the guidance and counsellors provide this effectively, and because of that, we really do win this debate. We also tell you about the accessibility of the guidance and counsellors, which we value within this debate on the principle of continuity, and like that, we've never been more proud to win.
This is the SASI Debate Challenge. This is the 8th edition, and I am your debate master, Master Jumbe. As you have heard, different perspectives, diverse intellectualities being brought up today. But there is only one winner that can arise. I don't have the honor of declaring who that is. So for a short while, we're going to go give this time to our judges to go have some deliberation. We'll catch you right after the break. Stay tuned. Moment we have all been waiting for. The results are being calculated as we speak. Each speaker provided their truth in the most palatable way possible. However, I wish I could give every single one of you the Oscar for your brilliant performance, but only one victor can arise. I will now call upon the chief adjudicators to to provide us with their information. Chief Adjudicator, please may you come forward.
I look up in the sky, God is my angel. I look up in the sky, God gonna save me. I've got a vision, so I gotta work on it. Nobody bring me down, so I gotta go, gotta go.
I got a dream. When you know you have a dream,